This podcast is produced and edited by Pasha Dasmalchi and is the first episode of the new podcasting network, The Intelligence of Automation, aimed at exploring, analyzing, and explaining the advent of rapidly developing artificial intelligence for broad audiences.
Hi there, my name is Pasha Dasmalchi and this is my first podcast for the Intelligence of Automation podcasting network, where we discuss the implications of automated technologies on the future of our nation, environment, and social conscience. Now, I'm no expert on automation nor artificial intelligence. In fact, I'm just a real estate student at the University of Southern California. But what I do know is that no matter who you are, where you live, or what you do, automation is coming, and it's coming quick. And I think that without the proper safety measures put into place, both within our economics and through the ways in which we develop our technology, automation can consume us, making me and you both victims to technology rather than beneficiaries of it. But I'm not here to depress you, and there is a future of automation in which machines work for us, where we use the benefit of technology to create a more sustainable environment, greater economic equality, and prosperity for even those displaced by automation. But seriously, we're in a battle for the future. We can either enter a matrix, where we're slaves to wondrous new forms of automated smart tech, or it can turn out like a Star Trek-esque future for all of us. And that's what I'll be discussing on today's podcast, and I'm excited for you to follow along. Now, I remember as a kid walking in through the doors of a Blockbuster, having to say hi to a cashier every time I went out to buy groceries, and even subjecting myself to a song I didn't like because it was the only thing on the radio. Now, those things became quaint, if not outright replaced, when I became a teenager. So the question becomes, what's next? What remarkable transformation will we see that doesn't only send a few thousand Blockbuster store clerks packing, but a few million truck drivers and auto workers as well? Automation's impact can be severe left unregulated. And as academic writer Walter Reuther put in his academic article, automation can trigger further aggravation already caused by technology. It will further create an imbalance between productive capacity and effective demand. The fact is, productive capacity grows, employment either remains stagnant or falls. Reuther also notes that from 1953 to 60, there was a 17% increase in manufacturing production, yet there was an accompanying decrease of 1.6 million production workers. To address these issues, I spoke to someone on the front lines of automation and smart technologies. Sam Parampar is a college student at UCLA who started his own venture utilizing AI to determine marketing scores for businesses who use social media in order to advertise. Our conversation hit not only the dangers of AI and automation, but also the remarkable potential inherent within these technologies. Alright, so I'm here with Sam Parampar, an artificial intelligence entrepreneur and college student. So I want to jump right to it. Do you think AI and automation are inherently bad for our society?
Yeah, that's a good question. To be honest, I wouldn't classify these technologies as dangerous or even bad per se, although I understand that they could be and maybe are to an extent. I'd say they are more creatively destructive than anything else, honestly, and that's why I think that the only possible way to positively utilize automative tech and the AI robotics that I've been working on is foresight, and more foresight. We really need the government and the private sector to come together and come up with a plan, and come up with a plan now. None of this hands-off stuff. We need to get moving so that the surplus value essentially created by increased productive capacity that AI brings about is used for the benefit of society. Now, I'm aware that AI reduces the amount of employees and displaces large swaths of people, etc. But Pasha, it also creates jobs and a lot of productive capacity that can be used for good. But we need to plan now.
Yeah, but what do you do with that productive capacity if entire swaths of the population are being displaced?
Well, how about this? And I know it sounds radical, especially in the United States, but what if we reinvest the value created by increased productivity into those communities that are negatively affected. This can be in the shape of a tax that this Greek finance minister, Yanis Varoufakis, has outlined in a lot of his proposals. And this would not harm innovation because so much of automation will increase the quality of life for the benefactors of it. And look, this is serious. You think what happened in the Midwest with jobs being exported to China is bad? Wait until the service industry is completely automated. Until over 9 million truck drivers who rely on the work are put out of it. Or even until every sector of the private economy takes a short-term employment loss. I mean, I just don't feel like we're as ready as we should be. And that's sad to me. But on the bright side, if we prepare, this can be the best injection of productivity and investment to help everyone, not just a select few. One of my favorite quotes is from John Maynard Keynes when he once said, "In the long run, we're all dead. There's 0 point in adjusting 50 years after automation has a stranglehold over the economy. Let's do something now."
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I have one more question. With the work you're doing with artificial intelligence and with the inevitable rise of it, how do you see modern issues like, like environmental sustainability and stuff like that fitting within the scope of these omnipresent technologies?
Well, great question. For example, I'm very passionate about climate change, so I see it two ways. Like everything that automation touches, the economy, social relations, and politics, there can be a utopian future or a dystopian one. And a lot of these technologies have shown promise. For example, identifying regions most at risk for climate change, or being able to plant trees in remote areas that humans wouldn't even go to. But you can only walk a horse to the water, you can't make it drink it. So again, we have to plan.
Alrighty. Thank you, Sam. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yep.
So, what do we know about automation? Well, we know that it's coming. We know that when it comes, it will create jobs, but in the short term, it's going to displace large amounts of people from their jobs and therefore their homes. It will also fundamentally reshape our society and the relations between humans. So then the bigger question is, when will we act and what will we do when we act? A few interesting policy proposals were brought about in this podcast from Sam. And for example, investing surplus value of automation and AI into communities that will be harmed by it in the short term. Creating a new employment framework for collaboration with rather than alienation from robots. Perhaps most importantly, using automotive and AI innovation directionally towards issues that need to be solved for the sake of our posterity, such as climate technologies to create a greener planet for all. But the most pressing thing I've become aware of in my research and conversations with those in the industry is that we do need a plan, and a real plan. And a need for a plan starting now rather than later. Only then may we see a future in which AI and automation are used for good, to create more opportunities for all, and to reduce the harm that displacement brings about. Thank you all for listening. This is Pasha Desmalchi signing off.